Thank you. Have any offices that report to you as minister ever awarded contracts or paid work to a company in which you own shares?
That I don't think deals with the supplementary estimates, Mr.
Actually,
Poilievre.
it does, Mr. Chair. The supplementary estimates provide funding for those same offices, and as a result, the minister is here. He's answering questions about all kinds of other expenditures that the government wants to talk about. This might not be an expenditure he wants to talk about, but the committees don't exist to the pleasure of ministers. So I ask again: have any offices that report to you as minister ever awarded contracts or paid work to companies in which you own shares?
Do you want to answer this question? Because I think I can. Go ahead.
I hold no controlled shares in any company, so that's quite easy for me to say at this stage. What I can say is, to the extent that I had any controlled assets in the past, I had a conflict of interest screen, so I would have no way of answering that question.
All right, thank you. The next question is regarding tax treaties with tax havens. Mr. Minister, when you were asked about the ongoing tax treaty with Barbados and why you hadn't addressed that tax treaty as part of your grand crusade to raise taxes on other Canadians, you said that you didn't want to, quote, throw the baby out with the bathwater. You didn't reveal, when you made those public comments, that you had formerly been on the board of a company that had relocated its office to
Pierre,
Barbados.
This has nothing to do with supplementaries.
Well, Mr. Chair, the members across the way and the minister in his earlier comments went outside of those bounds as well. So I appreciate that you're narrowing the confines now.
No, Mr. McLeod's questions did deal with the subs because the reason we're putting the extra money in there is related to the issue he asked the question on.
Okay. Well, Mr. Chair,
stick to the supplementaries if you could.
Well, then we'll return to a question that is directly linked to the supplementary estimates, which is the budgetary framework in which all estimates are funded. So I'll ask the question again: when will the budget be balanced? In what year?
As I've said, we think finding a balance is particularly important.
In what year?
The balance that we're.
One of the in the rules of orders, repetitive questions can be cut. So you can ask the question in a different way, but I'm not going to allow a series of questions on exactly the same words during this second session because we're going to run out of time. So go ahead and ask it a different way.
On what date will the budget be balanced?
As I've said, our focus is responsibly investing in our economy so we can see growth, and doing that in a way that allows us to reduce debt as a function of our economy, which is proving to be extremely successful, showing higher growth than we've seen in a decade, higher growth than the previous government experienced, job growth that hasn't been around for a decade, more families with more confidence than...
Mr. Minister, we're going to try and hold you to the same time as the questioner if we could. Go ahead.
Will the budget be balanced within this decade?
Again, within the time period that we are estimating, we will actually have the lowest debt burden as a function of our GDP in 40 years.
When will we arrive at a day when the deficit is zero? In what year?
We will continue to make investments to get ourselves to a higher growth rate, which is what's been successful. And that has allowed us to be in a much better economic position than we would have been otherwise, with more Canadians being successful and a very responsible fiscal approach.
Is it possible that you just don't know? Because you've been asked about 15 times today when the budget will be balanced, and you've been incapable of providing a year, a date, or even an approximation. There's no shame, Minister, in just saying you don't know. Is that the case? Is it that you just don't know when the budget will be balanced?
What we've said is that we believe that managing our economy responsibly is important. And the accolades from organizations like the International Monetary Fund, the recognition of people like the Organization for Economic Coordination and Development are important to say that, the kind of fiscal policies we're taking, which have led to significant growth, many more jobs, and a very responsible approach to managing down our debt is the right way to go forward. Balanced way of making a difference for Canadians.
Mr. Dussault and then Ms. O'Connell.